just wanted to say thank you so much to the Women of Courage for your generous donation.
Thank you for supporting the children of Scotty's House.
Thank you for your support.
Thank you, Women of Courage, for helping all of the children of Denton County. Thank you.
Thank you. From the bottom of our hearts, the Children's Advocacy Center of the Coastal Bend thanks you for your support.
Your support. We couldn't do this without you.
Good afternoon, and thank you for being with us today. I'm Sabrina Brown. On behalf of my friend and co-chair Leslie Ward, we want to welcome you to the 7th Annual Women of Courage Luncheon. Leslie and I have had the honor of co-chairing this luncheon from the beginning, and through the years, this event has become the cornerstone of fundraising for the Children's Advocacy Centers of Texas. We want to thank you for your continued support on behalf of the children of Texas. The mission for the Women of Courage is to serve as ambassadors for children victimized by abuse by increasing community awareness, promoting prevention, and strengthening the coordinated efforts of the Children's Advocacy Centers of Texas through our financial support to over 70 local children's advocacy centers throughout the state. Our mission could not be more important. It is now my pleasure to introduce my friend, co-chair, and fellow Woman of Courage, Leslie Ward.
I'm Leslie Ward, president of AT&T Texas. It brings me great pride to co-host this event for the 7th time. While the pandemic continues to be a threat, the thought of not coming together was not an option. Not while we still have work to do on behalf of the children of Texas. So welcome to our virtual luncheon. Welcome to the Women of Courage, and welcome to those of you attending for the first time through this virtual platform. Please invite your friends and family to join. We all have a part to play in ending child abuse. While the number of child abuse reports are down, the number of severe child abuse cases have increased. While we've been at home, the reality for some children is that home is sadly not a safe place to be. These children need our help, and we are committed to providing hope, healing, and justice to children of sexual and physical abuse. Our plans for this year's luncheon had included a presentation of the Honorable Florence Shapiro Women of Courage Award. Our honoree personifies the strength of character, courage, and resolve needed for the fight against child abuse. I'm happy to announce that the recipient of this award is Becky Leach. We look forward to 2021 when we can gather together to present Becky with this award. Congratulations, Becky, and thank you for all that you do for the children of Texas. Throughout the program, there will be opportunities to show your support for our mission, including a matching gift announcement and chances to win Kendra Scott jewelry. If you haven't already, please become a Woman of Courage. We invite you to sign up or renew your membership today. Please join our mission. Your support is critically important to our success. Thank you again for joining us. Please welcome the CEO of the Children's Advocacy Centers of Texas, Joy Rawls.
Thank you, Leslie and Sabrina, and thank you so much to each and every one of you for taking time out of your day to join us today. While I so wish that by now we would be able to gather with our women of courage in person, I can feel the energy and support flowing even from afar. I also know just how hard it is to juggle work, kids, virtual meeting fatigue, and more during this time. So your presence today means the world. I also want to begin by thanking our sponsors, including our Women of Courage award sponsor, AT&T. We could not do the important work we do without you. Your continued support in these uncertain times and your commitment to us allows us to continue to help Texas children victimized by abuse. We are honored to have you joining us today to celebrate the great work of Children's Advocacy Centers of Texas. Now, more than ever, Texas children who are abused need our help. And unfortunately, the severity of abuse and instances of child sexual abuse have increased during this pandemic. Your support is essential for these children, and we thank you again for your dedicated commitment to helping children who have experienced abuse, and most importantly, your partnership in working to end child sexual abuse in Texas so all children can reach their full potential. Speaking of support, if you'd like to help us, check out the QR code on your screen that will take you directly to our donation page. It's very easy to use and the instructions are laid out on your screen. Just open your camera, point it at the code, and you should be immediately taken to the donation page. Of course, you can also get to the website the old-fashioned way by following the link on the home page of our website, cactx.org. I am moved today when I think about the Women of Courage joining us in our fight to end child sexual abuse, because this event comes on the heels of the 100th anniversary of the 19th Amendment, which granted women the right to vote. And like the generations of women who fought to achieve this victory, the women joining us for this event today are women of action, and we are so proud to consider you our friends. Now let's take a look back at a very busy year for us at Children's Advocacy Centers of Texas. In 2019, the 71 Texas CACs served nearly 60,000 new child victims of abuse across Texas, the majority of whom were victims of child sexual abuse. Children and families received nearly 147,000 specialized mental health sessions free of charge. 220,000 adults were trained by CACs to recognize, report, and prevent child abuse. And the Texas legislature continued its amazing support of the CAC approach to child abuse investigations in Texas by an enhanced investment of state funding and an update to the Texas Family Code. In 2020, we have learned to expect the unexpected. Who could have imagined that we would be facing the unique challenge of protecting and serving children during a global pandemic? When COVID-19 started happening and impacting communities, our greatest fears were realized. Reports of child abuse took a deep dive, while more frequent stories of child fatalities and severe abuse started cropping up across the state. We know children are still being sexually and physically abused every day, and many have been trapped at home with their abuser with limited chances of any intervention. These children's key lifelines, teachers, daycare workers, pediatricians, have been unable to see them in person, where signs of abuse can be identified and reported. Child abuse does not stop during a pandemic, but neither do we. As the backbone support organization for all Texas Children's Advocacy Centers across the state, CAC Texas ensured that over 1,200 local CAC staff members were designated essential personnel by the governor so they could continue providing critical services to child victims who have bravely come forward to disclose their stories of abuse. To bring safety and healing to the children who are still being harmed during this time, we have focused on adapting specialized CAC services in virtual formats like telemental health and invested in statewide education to raise awareness and give more adults the tools needed to keep an eye out for children they come into contact with, even if it's just a brief interaction at the grocery store. Most importantly, we continue to work tirelessly to make sure that the CAC safety net will be there for the expected surge of child abuse reports when children are eventually able to return to the safety of school and daycare. This will require intention, resources, and continued awareness of the scope of child abuse in Texas. No one knows more about the issues facing children across Texas better than our First Lady, Cecilia Abbott. A dedicated educator, philanthropist, and mother, Mrs. Abbott participates in several charitable initiatives focused on children and families. And we are so honored she could join us, and it's my pleasure to introduce the First Lady of Texas, Mrs. Cecilia Abbott.
Thank you so much, Joy. And thank you to everyone for virtually gathering today to give your attention to the serious and heartbreaking issue affecting our state's children. The Children's Advocacy Centers of Texas hold a special place in my heart. Like many of you, I joined the Women of Courage membership years ago when I first learned about the good work that the CAC centers were doing all across the state. I had the privilege of hosting the Women of Courage Dream Big blanket wrapping party here at the Governor's Mansion last year. The Dream Big blankets are gifts from the Women of Courage to children who receive a My Safe Space room makeover, transforming personal spaces for children of abuse into spaces of hope and healing. The work of the Children's Advocacy Centers of Texas is also incredibly important to my husband, Greg. We were honored and humbled to accept the Partners in Courage Award last year, joining the many courageous Texans who continue their unwavering support for the Texas children in the fight against child abuse. But we're gathered today because the fight continues. Over 90% of children served by a CAC last year were victimized by someone they knew. Family members, neighbors, friends, the very people they should be able to trust. The network of 71 Texas CACs stands ready to serve these children with your continued support. I want to thank the staff, supporters, and volunteers for your passion and dedication. Child abuse is a difficult subject, and events like these are necessary to educate, engage, and gather support for the most precious Texans, our children. I want to acknowledge our co-chairs, my good friends, Leslie Ward and Sabrina Brown. This will be their 7th consecutive year co-chairing this event. Their commitment is real and speaks stronger and louder than words. I would like to add my congratulations to Becky Leach, and I look forward to the award presentation in 2021. In closing, I want to encourage each of you to join our efforts in support of the Child Advocacy Centers. I invite you to join me and my fellow Women of Courage members by renewing your membership today and continuing to be engaged in our important work. Your gifts are making a difference for the children that call Texas home. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Abbott. We appreciate your words and support. For the past 25 years, Children's Advocacy Centers of Texas has worked toward building a brighter future for children who have been impacted by abuse. Thanks to continuous community support, we have strengthened the network of Texas CACs to serve nearly 1 million child victims of abuse since 1995. Together, we have helped these children navigate the path of safety, justice, and healing. But with 9 out of 10 child abuse victims never reporting their abuse or receiving restorative services, our organization had to ask ourselves, what more can we do? When I look into the eyes of my own children, knowing that we have the tools, the research, and the strategies to end child sexual abuse, but we just need someone to take up the mantle and lead the effort, it's inescapable. If not us, who? If not now, well then when?
friend are having a picnic when you see a child drowning in a nearby river. As you rush to help, you hear another child cry for help and see even more children struggling to keep their heads above water. Once the children are safe, your friend starts to walk upstream. "Where are you going?" you demand. "I'm going upstream to tackle whoever it is throwing all these kids in the water."
While our CAC model has been incredibly effective at intervening to restore the lives of children once they have already been impacted by sexual abuse, we realized we need to continue to serve the 60,000 new victims of child abuse walking through the doors of our CACs every year, while also getting further upstream to prevent children from ever needing our services in the first place. We began to ask ourselves, could we actually end child sexual abuse in Texas? After a lot of research and calling on a diverse collective of visionary minds and partners, we discovered that the answer is yes. There are evidence-informed strategies to end child sexual abuse. We converted a year's worth of intense research into a theory of change, a strategy map, and a business plan. We hold in our hands the solution to an upstream problem so significant that its resolution has promise for an untold number of downstream issues. You can dare to imagine what the world looks like at the top of that river, and together we can find the headwaters. This is why CAC Texas has boldly taken on what we know will be a challenging, lofty, multi-generational, but achievable mission to end child sexual abuse in Texas.
Will you help us? Will you be a part of the solution? Will you invest in our future? What will you do to keep us safe?
We hope you'll join us in our commitment to this mission. We know that it's possible, and we already have a plan to begin the visionary work to eradicate child sexual abuse so that all children can live up to their full potential. But we cannot do it alone. It will take all of us. Will you join us? Will your legacy include being part of building a future free from child sexual abuse? Now, I have the pleasure of introducing someone who has been committed to this mission for decades, the Honorable Florence Shapiro. As you all know, Senator Florence Shapiro is a longtime champion in this fight. First elected to the Texas State Senate in 1993, she is known as a leader who has worked tirelessly on issues and initiatives related to protecting our state's children. Among her many achievements, in 1995, Senator Shapiro signed Senate Bill 81, which officially adopted the Children's Advocacy Center model as Texas's approach to better address cases of child sexual and physical abuse. She's also the reason we gather each year, as it was her original gift that challenged Children's Advocacy Centers of Texas to recruit the first 50 women of courage. Just as Senator Shapiro's gift inspired a group of women to become ambassadors against child abuse in their communities, a group of our sponsors have partnered together to give a gift in hopes of inspiring you to join us in building the foundation to end child sexual abuse in Texas. We are privileged to have Senator Shapiro with us today from Plano to talk to you about how you can join us in our new evolved mission to end child sexual abuse in Texas.
Thank you, Joy. Hello to my fellow women of courage and steadfast supporters of Children's Advocacy Centers of Texas. I'm so excited to be with you today. Back in 2013, when I originally presented Children's Advocacy Center of Texas with the challenge of recruiting 50 women to be ambassadors to the cause of child abuse prevention, I never imagined that we would be here today with more than 100 members strong at our 7th annual Women of Courage luncheon, albeit virtually. When Joy first explained this new vision of a world where no child experiences the trauma of sexual abuse, it made perfect sense that this effort should be led by our fearless, caring group of influential women like our Women of Courage. Taking on this audacious goal will not be without its challenges. But as Joy said, it is achievable. If we know it's achievable, we have a responsibility to embark upon this bold journey for our children, our grandchildren, and for future generations. Symbolic of my initial gift that launched the Women of Courage 7 years ago, a group of sponsors have partnered with the advocacy centers by giving a collective matching gift of $50,000 in an effort to raise another $50,000 to launch this courageous work to eradicate child abuse in Texas. Thank you to these matching gift sponsors for your commitment to the Children's Advocacy Centers of Texas and to our children. Please consider joining in the fight for a safer, healthier future for the children of Texas by donating towards this matching gift to seed the initial work to end child sexual abuse. I am proud that this vision is launching the same way that Women of Courage began, with a bold mission led by strong women daring others to envision a better world.
Thank you, Senator Shapiro. We are so grateful for your continued support, and we're honored you were able to join us today. The time for action is now. Texas children need our help more than ever before. We hope you will join us as we invest in their future, a future where no child experiences sexual abuse. We would be honored if you would partner with us in this effort, whether it's making a donation towards this matching gift to launch our work to end child sexual abuse, becoming a Woman of Courage, or renewing your membership, or using your voice to ensure that every child's life is respected and their voice is heard. We all have a role to play to create an enduring foundation of support for Texas children. Thank you all for joining us and for having the courage to be emotionally with this issue today and throughout the year as you support our daily work. It's not lost on us that it takes a special type of person to not only support this issue, but to raise its visibility and make it a kitchen table conversation. The more comfortable all of us can become with talking about such a tough issue, the farther we will get in our collective journey as we blaze a trail to end child sexual abuse in Texas. Thank you for also staying with us as we face more turmoil in our world than we have seen and communally felt in a very long time. You can visit cactx.org for more information, including pandemic-specific resources and tips. Lastly, thank you for giving hope in whatever way you're able to in order to ensure Texas children have a brighter future free from sexual abuse. I look forward to seeing you in person again soon. Until then, stay healthy and well.